guys know what time it is. It's that time of the week where we talk about another installment in the Terrible Movie Collab Season 2. And as part of today's review, we're talking about James Thomas's movie, Battle Star Wars. This guy's directed previously Tomb Invader. That's right. Tomb Invader, not Tomb Raider. No. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself and my two guests for this collaboration, and that is Anthony Perez and the Big Rob Theory. But what do we think of this movie? Let's just get on to the review. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, whether you're new or returning. Really appreciate you taking your time out to check out this review for the 2020 Asylum Mockbuster movie, Battle Star Wars, directed by James Thomas and starring Alyson, Gorske, Aimee, Stolte, Justin, Berti, Benedikt, Sebastian and Luke Fattoruso. Essentially, Battle Star Wars, I mean, it's got kind of a plot on IMDb, and Anthony and Rob is going to try to explain the plot a little bit later on, but I'll try explain the plot. Lord Malaster, who's played by Justin Berti, is kind of like the dark side, and he's trying to take over this place and this planet called Haven, and it's kind of a gang trying to stop him, but this like twists and turns, and that's the best way I can honestly describe this movie. So yeah, going into Battle Star Wars, I knew straight away Anthony A. Perez and the Big Rob Theory, who's joining me today. Firstly, the links are down below in the description box, so please go subscribe to both guys and both guys' channel. Two amazing friends who I got to meet in person. But the reason why I asked Anthony on this collab is because he is the biggest Star Wars fan. And I knew I had to have him on a mockbuster of Star Wars, and of course the Big Rob Theory. I wanted to hear his thoughts. So what is ultimately this movie, and what can I ultimately say about it? Well, yeah, this is an hour and 26 minutes, guys. I'm not getting back of my life. And this is just bad. Don't get me wrong, okay. So I will give the movie praise where it is actually due. A little bit of praise, and this is me picking at those needles in a haystack with this movie. So firstly, the first 5 minutes of Battle Star Wars, right? I messaged Anthony and I said, hey man, you know, this actually isn't too bad. As the movie progressed and we got to the end of this hour and 26 minute movie, yeah, I slowly ate my words of what I told Anthony. We've got our main character, Luke Fattoruso, who plays Corbin. Now, at first I thought, you know, this guy's not too bad. It's setting up some kind of premise here and about, you know, him discovering this uninhabited and this kind of hidden planet. Somehow he finds it. I mean, I don't know how only he's the only one. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll leave it at that. But, you know, first 5 minutes I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, maybe some potential here, maybe some promise. And then the costume department, the costume department, guys, sucks big time. And don't get me wrong, I know Asylum don't make these movies with absolutely huge budgets or anything like that. But man, the costume on this one guy alone, our paladin of Benedikt Sebastian. I mean, it looks as if he's made kind of like a tinfoil kind of shield at home out of like maybe $10, and he's used over like some cardboard, and that's what he's got on, and that's basically his outfit for this movie. And then like this sword, or like this, I mean, I don't know, Anthony and Rob explain this as like, looks like it's from like Halo, the video game. I've never played them, so I can't comment. But like, you know, it looks as if you'd hold the sword, so it's like, it's pointing up this way, right? He's pointing it so it's like down to the ground, or like up to his neck, and like different ways that I do throughout the movie. I'm just like, well, you wouldn't hold the gun like this way, would you? Or you wouldn't hold it like, oh, okay, let's hold it like that. You know, I just don't get the concept of this guy. In terms of the Asylum and actually some of their special effects, yeah, some of the kind of like spaceships and kind of some of the kind of ships that they had here wasn't actually too bad. Now, don't get me wrong, that's in like the first couple of minutes, and there's some here where you think, oh wow, okay, shit, like the Asylum's stepped up, and then after that initial point, Yeah, again, I kind of ate my words. And then the last kind of little positive I can maybe give this movie is at least the set location that they actually using, the set piece that they're actually using. At least it looks like it's in a ship, but I mean, Asylum are known to do that in like pretty much every one of their movies where there's a ship involved. But at least it kind of is trying to give that impression that they were, in space and they were on board this ship, and at least it was trying to just sell the aesthetic. But in terms of positives, that's basically it. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say in terms of positives, but I've got an absolute mountain of negatives. But before we get to them, let's hand it over to my guests, Anthony and Rob, and hear their thoughts on Battle Star Wars.
What's going on, Mike and all his viewers? My name is Anthony A. Perez. This is the Big Rob Theory. Thank you so much for having us on to talk about Battle Star Wars. I didn't even write down any notes. We're going into this just full-on emotions. I'm sure Mike has already given you guys the pleasant details on who stars in this film and who directed this film from 2020. And I'll start off by saying that this film was atrociously bad. Rob, what were your thoughts on this movie?
Trash. Horrendous, idiotic, stupid, terrible. It was bad. It was bad. You go ahead and start first, and then I will get into my monologue of what I'll tell you what I think the plot is, and we will dive into what this is supposed to maybe potentially slightly maybe be, and then we'll get it going. We'll see.
So, Battle Star Wars is a movie coming from Asylum, as I'm sure that Mike has already talked about. And of course, Asylum is known for making pretty piss-poor films. But in the case of this film, unfortunately, it's not an it's oh bad, it's good kind of movie. Instead, it's just a bad movie. I can genuinely tell you, and after reading some reviews online, that a consensus a lot of people had was watching the entire film and genuinely not knowing what the fuck was going on. By the time we got to the end of the film, I didn't understand what the general plot of this film was. I guess I kind of understood it, but the film is not structured in any way, shape, or form for you to ever understand what's going on, who these characters are. Even when they show the ships outside during battle, the various ships that were getting blown up and different things like that, I didn't know which ship belonged to which characters. I didn't know which were the good guys' ships, which were the bad guys' ships. And this is supposed to be a blend of like Guardians of the Galaxy mixed with Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, and pretty much any space-dwelling adventure, and it was just bad. The performances, the overall direction, they used the same sets over and over and over again just for the bad. Yeah, they just changed the color scheme, but it was the exact same set for the bad people and for the good people. The costume design, horrible. The accents they were doing, terrible. The hair design, terrible. I don't think there was a single redeeming factor of this entire movie. I mean,
no.
Please share your thoughts.
So my dear friend Anthony here gave you a little synopsis, and I'm going to give you my own little synopsis. It's going to be very quick. Don't worry. I'm not going to take much of your time. So, long story short, we got this guy who's pretending to be Han Solo, and he's doing a terrible job at it. He's in the middle of space. We don't know where exactly he is. We don't know what his name is. I think they said his name. Do you remember that?
I don't remember any of the characters' names in this movie.
All I remember is Ajax because it's a cleaner. That's right. All I remember. That's it.
And the Paladin. The Paladin walking around in a tin can armor suit that looks terrible, while also holding the classic energy sword from Halo, but a plastic version.
The wrong way.
That he's consistently holding in various ways, and it'll show him holding it like where the blade is close to his face, and then the next shot in the same scene will have the blade like face down like it is in Halo. Yeah, rough.
What are we doing? So, to continue, as he said, the Paladin guy, which I don't even understand why, he's a paladin. He can't do anything. He literally can't do anything except for fly in space, take out 4 ships on his own, and then all of a sudden not do anything else and claim he can't do anything else.
He was supposed to be this badass, strong, like knight character.
He wasn't.
I'm part of an order that was once destroyed, which I'm assuming is supposed to be like the Jedi mixed with the
2,000 Novax. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that was a whole different character. There's like a Drax ripoff in this show or this movie that's like the Novak, and he's like, I've killed 2,550 Novak to stand before you today. Terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
He got taken out in 2 seconds, and then somehow, bro, I don't know. This movie's bad news.
It's really bad. I don't have much more to say on it. I don't want to waste all of your time, and I'm sure Mike has had plenty to say about this movie. But overall, the acting, the elements that are supposed to parody Star Wars and all these other things, bad. It never made sense. And you know what? If this movie was just ridiculous, had bad effects, bad acting, kind of like a stupid premise, but at least it was able to be followed to some degree, and it can have like a it's so bad it's good kind of quality, I would have been alright. But the movie is just genuinely bad. Like, I'd hardly ever even laughed at how bad the movie was. It was just so bad, I was dying for it to be over. Like, Rob and I kept looking at each other just thinking, how much longer of this do we have? We kept checking in the runtime, and it would feel like 100 hours had passed, and it only had been like 5 minutes.
Like, honestly, and we didn't even know what the actual issue was. Like I was saying about the Paladin flying around and destroying ships. Like, I don't know what ships he destroyed. Those very well could have been his own people just coming in to try and help, and it turns out he just killed them just because whatever. We don't know why the enemy was so mad. They wanted to get rid of Haven. He killed his own wife. Every woman is in a crop top for some reason. And then they just, nobody reacted to anything. Like Anthony made a good point. This girl just came in out of nowhere. Was like, hey, yeah, we're taking this guy. And then he's like, you're not gonna pull your blaster? You're not gonna ask who are you?
Yeah,
that
was a big factor in this movie. Is the characters, something would happen around them and they wouldn't act. Like
no reaction.
The actors weren't acting as if, like, it just felt like they were reading lines, you know, and that they expected the character that wasn't supposed to be there, that's just randomly showing up, they expected them to appear for a brief moment. I don't know. There's no real way to explain this movie. Like, I feel like if I had to try to like sit down and like explain the premise of this movie and all the characters and their motivations, I genuinely would struggle. No, you couldn't.
Yeah,
we tried this last night before filming this. All right, hit them with the premise of the movie.
I'll do exactly what I did last night.
All right, let's hear it.
So, you got this guy, tan guy. Don't know what his name is. Don't know what he wants to do. Whatever. He's going to Haven. The Paladin comes in, tells on him, gets his ship blown up, destroys 1 million people, saves some people in some space pods or something. They go down to the Haven. There's this Viking guy with a throat problem who supposedly has the Force. We got a girl in the crop top, another girl in the crop top with bad hair, who's got the name of a fucking cleaner. And then we've got the guy in a bathrobe with a clip in the middle of it, who's angry but always smiling when he talks, just like I'm doing right now. And the basic premise of this movie is that there is a war over this place called Haven, and people are angry when we don't know why they're angry. And I think I'm pretty hitting the nail on the head here, pretty much.
I don't know that you're just explaining the movie to a degree, but that's not the premise, and that's the problem.
Okay, well, here's the premise. It's caca. That's what the premise is.
Yeah, there's no real premise to this movie, and I think that's the problem with it. Is like, if you watch my channel, I love breaking down film on a deep and really meticulous level and talking about all the various characters, the motivations, the themes, the various things that you can bring into it, the musical score, the cinematography, the directing, whatever the case may be. I love breaking films down, and in the case of this movie, there was not much to really break down because it just was so samey. It felt like 45 minutes in, an hour in, nothing really had happened. We were in the exact same locations, talking about the same things, doing the same things. I don't really know what any of the character motivations were. There was a time skip from the opener after the intro into like the actual movie that doesn't really make sense.
No.
And just overall, the movie was just bland, dry, boring, ugly to look at, ugly to listen to. Ugly to listen to, but you know what I mean.
You're right.
It was ugly to the ears.
You are right.
It was just bad. It was bad all around, and I'm sorry for anybody who has ever even heard of this movie or ever will hear about this movie or will ever see it, and that's all I have to say about it.
The line delivery. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, any final thoughts on your end?
Just a little, and then we can. So the line delivery was terrible. The trash can compactor costumes were terrible. I just don't. My final thing is, what was the goal here? You know, you got this Viking character, again, as I said, who has throat problems, because I don't know what he was trying to do. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, and then he supposedly somehow is using the Force, and then he gets like this close to the girl's neck, and he's like, and then she's, at one point, I think she just didn't know what to do, because she was like, And I'm like, there, are you being choked or not? Like, I don't understand. And it just seemed like the three of us last night were talking about it, and then Haley was kind of like, oh, it seems like it's like a weird kind of porno thing. And then we're like, you know what? It does have like porno dialogue, porno acting,
right.
But there's just literally not even an inkling of porn in it, or just a love interest, something. Maybe that
would have made it better. Honestly, at a certain point,
drive.
It felt like somebody was gonna whip out their ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong-dong, the ding-da-dong,
do the space do with the do, but it didn't happen, And then we got this weird paladin guy blocking some force field and then flying through the force field when somehow he was getting destroyed by it. Anyway, that literally describes the movie. So, I'm sorry, guys. I know. Look, I tried to find some good in this. So did he. And Anthony, I think we can tell the masses, ain't no good in this. There's nothing.
There's nothing worth watching here. Honestly, it's so bad, and I think what we've come to realize with this movie is it would have been better as a porn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to say it like that, but it really would have, and I would have taken how bad everything else was if there was some semblance of story, like if I
or sex.
Or yeah, wow. There we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. If there was sex, I mean, hey, you know what? Screw it. I wish that there was. Homeboy and Ajax had some of the most tension, and it just would have been
and the Drax guy, Novak guy, was like with chains all over his chest, and
what the hell? What was that?
It was set up for a porn. If you told me like they used the exact same actors and sets after this movie was filmed to film a porn, and that it was on Pornhub or somewhere online,
like Battle Star Wars,
Battle Porn Star, yeah.
There we go. There we go. That would have been much better.
It's bad, guys. Thanks so much to Mike for having us on, and we'll give the floor back to you. My name is Anthony A. Perez. This is The Big Rob Theory. I'm sure our links are down below in the description box. You can go and check out our channels where we talk about substantially better films for the most part.
Yes.
But very happy to be a part of Mike's Terrible Movie Collab. And if this is near the beginning of his Terrible Movie Collab series with some of the other ones he's got going on, this collab series, season 2, I believe it is going to be littered with some garbanzo bean movies.
At least you guys are gonna laugh,
Hopefully you get a laugh from all of us suffering. Again, a big thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Take it easy.
A big thanks to Anthony and Rob for joining me for this collaboration, and I absolutely loved hearing both of your thoughts on Battle Star Wars. Yeah, this movie is an absolute travesty, but before I get into that, the links to Anthony and Rob's channels are down below in the description box. Anthony Perez and the Big Rob Theory. Go check out both those guys. Go give them absolute tons and mountains of support. In those mountain of negatives that I mentioned before, let's get straight into them. Yeah, the costume department is awful. It tries to sell you on these characters, and as Anthony and Rob were saying, it looked more like an adult film than anything else that these costumes should really be in. And then also on top of that, we've got the bad effects of the ships. And yeah, those guys, Anthony and Rob, made a great point. There's times in here where you don't even know which ship belongs to who. It's kind of like, okay, right, so say for example in Star Wars, right, okay, the Millennium Falcon, who that belongs to. You know who, say, like the X-Wing belongs to, right? In this movie, the ships look the same. You don't know, okay, well, which one's flying this one? Which one's flying that one? You don't really tell. They're all kind of then blended in one scene where they've clearly done like a copy and paste, and then it's kind of like little miniature versions of them in the background, and you're like, so is that one now? Is that this one? Is this one flying over here? Like it's all over the shop. You just can't tell which ship is which. So that, yet again, guys, it's just like, you can't buy into the scene, and then they're trying to, of course, steer the ship like, like this, and it's just like, you can tell that they're not clearly, navigating the ship. They can't sell it well. You can clearly tell they're just told, right, do some more movements, we'll capture it for the camera and pretend you guys are flying the ship. Yeah, clearly they're not. Then the plot in this movie is just non-existent whatsoever. It's kind of like this Lord Malaster, and he's kind of like henchman who has the Force, which, by the way, right? Like in Star Wars, if they use the Force, they might go like this, or they might like put their hand out or something. This guy, when you use the Force, he's like this. That's what he was like using the Force, and I'm just like, oh. And then one other thing to top this off is just the dialogue. Man, the dialogue is so terrible. I kind of feel sorry in a way for James Thomas, who directs this movie, because he didn't write this movie, he just directed it. But then the actors who were hired were probably thinking, what the hell's this movie about? I don't even think they knew what the dialogue was for this movie. And if you guys are interested in watching Battlestar Wars, it's actually free on YouTube as well. If you want to even try work this out and see what's going on and just try to decide for yourself, like, you know, your thoughts on this movie. But there's just no really redeeming qualities here, unfortunately. There's just not a lot to it. And for a movie that should have just been kind of over the top, stupid, and just kind of went nuts and kind of just tried to go for it, ripping off Star Wars, it goes a super serious route and it just doesn't work, because even when you get the scenes of, you know, the good guys, for example, our Jedi, so to say, like the background on the door behind them is kind of like purple, right? But then with the bad guys, it's the exact same set, but the lights are just red. That's all they've done, just change the lighting. And you're just like, oh, wow. And you can clearly tell they're not face to face either. Almost forgot this part right here. There's also one other aspect of like this droid, of like a teleportation. And then all of a sudden this droid is like in a seat, right? It just like does this terrible teleportation trick, and then it's on to like this other kind of ship of like our Jedi or like the bad guy, and it's just not oh man, yeah, I'm gonna leave that there, guys. This movie is absolutely pants, and my overall score for Battlestar Wars is a half a star out of 5. Have you seen Battlestar Wars? Are you going to go check it out? As I mentioned, it is on YouTube right now, completely for free. If you've enjoyed the review, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button down below so I can see you again on a future video. And once again, please go subscribe to Anthony and Rob, who's got links down below. Go check out their awesome channels, and thank you for tuning into this episode. Until the next time, I'll see you. I'll be seeing you later. To see more content like this, join me over on my Patreon today. The link is down below in the description box. You get access to early videos, my release schedules, you request movies for me to check out. You get to name characters in my books and so much more. Whilst you're also clicking that link down below, if you want to grab some t-shirts as well or some merch, go explore the shop. And I want to give a big thank you to all my awesome Patreons who help support the channel, who also have YouTube channels. Go over and subscribe to them.